I'm Randy and I make candy, and tonight I'm making molasses peanut brittle. Stick around. Greetings my confectionery compadres, and welcome to Randy Makes Candy, where I help you make tasty treats that people love to eat. Next week brings us National Peanut Brittle Day, and I thought it might be fun to go seriously old school with a recipe from the April 30th, 1904 edition of the Elk City Mining News. I'll be using the same ingredients as called for in the recipe, but the execution will differ slightly, as you'll see. As always, I'd love to hear about your results if you decide to make your own molasses peanut brittle, as well as suggestions for other recipes you'd like to see in future videos. For this recipe, I used 1 cup of molasses, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 cup of peanuts. You're probably wondering what the heck vinegar is doing in this list. Well, stick around after the recipe and all will be made clear. I also used a large saucepan, a spatula, a thermometer, 2 large baking pans, and 2 sheets of SilPat. Okay, let's make some candy. Take a little vegetable oil on a paper towel and apply it to the inside of the saucepan. Some candies, like fondants, nougats, and fudge, depend on sugar molecules joining together into crystals for their characteristic chewiness. For other candies, though, like peanut brittle, we don't want the sugar molecules ganging up on us. The oil in the pan will help keep sugar crystals off of the pan and down in the mixture, where they can melt and not cause us problems later. In a saucepan over high heat, add the molasses, brown sugar, butter, and vinegar. Cook the mixture, stirring occasionally until it comes to a boil. Cover the pan for a couple of minutes to wash down the sides of the pan. This is our second line of defense in keeping crystallization in check. Remove the lid, lower the heat to medium-high, and insert the thermometer. This is where I deviate from the recipe, which calls for using the time-honored method of dropping a bit of the mixture into cold water to see if it's brittle. Many of you compadres know that that's a little imprecise for my taste. As a wise philosopher once said, "Home you don't play that." Now we wait for the mixture to reach the hard crack stage. This is where your patience will be tested. Don't touch the pan, don't stir the mixture, don't do anything but watch. Any excess movement can start the crystallization process, and you know how we feel about that. When the mixture reaches 300 degrees Fahrenheit, add the peanuts and baking soda, remove the pan from the stove, and give the mixture a quick stir. Remember when I said that stirring can create crystals? Well, at this point in the process, that's no longer true. By now, the heat has damaged enough of the sugar molecules that they won't fit together anymore, which prevents the runaway crystallization we've been working so hard to avoid. That heat effect is what we call caramelization, which also creates the dark colors and complex flavors that we love so much. Pour the mixture onto the lined baking pan, put another sheet of SilPat on top, then use the second baking sheet to press the mixture flat. Once it's cooled, break the brittle into whatever size pieces you'd like. And that's it. Okay, let's have a taste. Sláinte mhath. I tell you what, the folks who lived around my great-grandparents' time knew how to make peanut brittle. This is awesome. I'm sure you heard how crunchy it is, but it's a soft crunch, not the kind that make you feel like you broke a tooth. Nice and sweet, but the molasses gives it that dark, complex sweetness that I really enjoy. As much as I am enjoying this, though, there aren't enough peanuts for my taste, really. I mean, you can make this as is and be perfectly happy with it, but I think it would be better with 2 cups of peanuts instead of just the 1. Either way, though, you really ought to try these. So why vinegar in peanut brittle? Well, this isn't my recipe, and I obviously don't know what the author was thinking, but there are a couple of very good reasons to include this ingredient. The first is that vinegar is acidic, which helps prevent the crystallization that I've been ranting about all throughout this video. Brown sugar is primarily made of sucrose, which is a combination of glucose and fructose. Acids cause some of those sucrose molecules to separate back into glucose and fructose, meaning that they don't fit well with the sucrose molecules, reducing the chance of crystallization. And if you remember the old volcano science fair projects, you'll know the second reason vinegar is a good fit here. It combines with the baking soda we added to release carbon dioxide, which makes a gazillion tiny little bubbles and gives the brittle a much softer and more pleasant crunch. You might say it keeps the brittle from being brutal. If you enjoyed your time here in the Candy Kitchen, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for sticking around, and I hope you join me next time. By now, the heat has damaged enough which prevents the runaway crystallization. That was so hard to say. Meaning they don't fit well with the sucrose molecule.